Board of Education, regular meeting, November 28th. I'd like to welcome everyone. Thank you all for coming out tonight on a cold night. Let's stand, have a moment of silence, followed by the pledge of allegiance. The pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is to review the agenda and adoption of the agenda. Does anyone have any adds, comments?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Pass 5-0.
Yeah.
Okay. Next item is consider approval of minutes for the October 24, 23 regular meeting. We're going to split these two items up since there was been some absence in the virtual meeting. So we'll have a motion for the October 24th meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bennett, do I have a second? Second by Mr. Ritchie, all in favor? Aye. Pass 5-0. Next is consider approval of the minutes of the November 13th, 2023 virtual meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the November 13th special and virtual meeting.
There's a motion by Ms. Hall, I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Passes 3-0. Next is Clark County Public Schools Board of Education recognition. Ms. Christy Bush.
Good evening. It is my pleasure tonight to have the Superintendent's Veterans Day Student Award. This contest has occurred annually for, I believe, 13 to 14 years we are, except for COVID. They are framed and they are posted outside, so on your way out, if you would please look at those. We are congratulating Mr. Wade Deaton this evening. He is from Cronkite, and he is a 4th grade student. Mr. Wade?
We'll get some pictures too. We're gonna smile. It's gonna be awesome. Ready? Well, you wanna hold this one? It's yours. There you go. Now we got it. All right, congratulations.
You look pretty. We have Miss Holly Crow from Shear Elementary.
Yeah, you know how to do it.
Good.
Brady. Mr. Brady Gallagher from Justice Elementary. Is it Elise? Can you turn this way?
Absolutely. I bet it well. I'm saying, we got one more. Got pictures everywhere. All right, congratulations.
Miss Elise House from Strode Station, 4th grade. Miss Bailey Conley, she is our senior from George Rogers Clark.
Maybe it's a preschool day. I'm not sure which one.
Miss Kylan Jones, she is from preschool. She
Yeah, come back real quick. We got one more.
You're still famous.
You are so famous.
Do we have Miss Maya Veal here tonight? Miss Maya? No, she's here somewhere.
Absolutely.
Technical difficulty doesn't, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, ready? I'm sorry. Okay.
The first student will look out.
Oh, yeah, oh, well, we've been doing this for a while.
Would you wait?
He
Oh,
was the first
Ethan,
wave.
Ethan, come on up, bud.
Look at it.
I know, my mom was the same way. That's the kind, man, I love my mom. God's live here. Good gravy. All right.
Miss Maya Veal from RDC. She is our 7th grade winner, but she does not know that she has won for the entire district.
Now you gotta come over for pictures too, you didn't see that part. You gotta look around there too, you look official, there we go.
I didn't know she was here. Do you want to get flag football on?
Okay.
Thank you all very much for participating.
Wanna get the whole
Have you
group?
seen your pictures up there? You want the whole group?
I'll stand over here, we'll do it this way, how's this? Yeah, here we go, I'll stand right here, come on over.
All right. Ready? Smile.
Thank you guys, congratulations.
Thank you very much, sweetie.
Here we go.
You may go. These are the only ones that are here? Let me try this. Okay. Are they bringing them up? Are we They wanted to turn. They wanted to turn with you. Bless it. While the next group comes in, Strides Cardinals recently participated in the Special Olympics flag football state tournament at Thomas More College in Northern Kentucky. STRIDE, which stands for Supporting Therapeutic Recreation for Individuals with Disabilities Every Day. In October, STRIDE sent 3 flag football teams to the state tournament, with 2 of their teams winning gold and the other team winning silver. Some of our team members are present and current Clark County Public School students and are represented us greatly in this opportunity, along with their coach, Mr. Marty Frazier. So we have Mr. Adam Arnett, Mr. Colby Reffett, Travis Lynn, Ethan Graves, and Harley Kathleen.
Travis. Ethan, you're welcome, sir. Harley, we'll get yours too, sir. Appreciate it. Hold them up.
What about you?
Champions, baby. Great job. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Great job.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
On Friday, November the 3rd, George Rogers Clark JROTC female team was tested by a series of exercises that showcased strength, endurance, and more. This lasted from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Despite treacherous mountainous terrain that provided uphill and downhill challenges, the team finished first in the K race, the 5K race. They also finished first place in the one rope bridge with a time of 2 minutes and 56 seconds. Adding to those wins, they finished third in the CCR, fifth in the PTT, and seventh in the gauntlet. With all that counted up, they finished 4 points ahead of the second placed opponent. And that makes them the 2023 Raider Challenge Female National Champions.
I'm just glad that my 5 mile time went down.
Say national one more time.
It was a national
National.
again.
That timing just went right with Mr. Kincaid, didn't it?
Oh, here we go. And I'll step back, because you guys are superstars.
You'll find Miss Bailey Wood, Jessica Kidd, Kara Conley, Valerie Martinez, Penelope McIntosh, Sage Plummer, Rory Cooper, I hope I said that right.
Oh, you did.
Laura
Killed it.
Ross, Lillian Perry, Monica Cruz, Addison Salcido. Did I do right? All right. Amicia, Salcido, and Allie Indris. All right. You all, we are so proud of you. We had a big spill, but Mr. Kincaid took us.
Say it, national.
Bailey, are you on the end? We're all in order. Okay, perfect. Look at you. Oh my gosh, you are national
They're
champions. I think you might need to.
Can we sort of try to get in the rows a little bit? So I can.
You know
They take directions well. All right, Sergeant, you get them in rows.
Bailey,
Get on it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go to the front, sit right. Go ahead.
I love her.
She was on flag patrol in 7th grade.
Are you taking credit for that?
I'm not taking credit for anything. It's smart enough to put her on flag patrol.
yeah, that's what. That looks so good.
That flag out.
Please in.
Master Sergeant, keep coming up here with us. This is also Master Sergeant Lee. Wall of Fame. You got another there? Colonel, there he is. Don't give us the good.
We got some families out there too still.
Stand here, smile.
All right, ready? Here we go. Looking good. All right, thank you.
If we can make a little bit of room here, folks, but there's a couple more families that want to come in and get a couple pictures. There's plenty of room over here too. Come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. There you go, there you go.
All right, excuse smile. They said national champions get national champions.
so. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Gail Ricketts, the director of the Cardinals Nest, and tonight I just want to recognize one of GRC's students. His name is Liam Peridot. We have been collaborating to come up with a logo for the Cardinals Nest, so I reached out to Miss Crosby, asked her if one of her students would be interested in taking on that task, and he was very eager, and we met a couple times. We went over what we wanted, what we didn't want. He did a fantastic job. He was very easy to work with. He worked very hard. He sent me several different options so we can use it for several different things, and you can see it displayed on the board. So that is our logo, and we're so excited to start using it, but I just wanted to recognize him and all his hard work.
Good job, Liam.
Good job.
Presentation from just Ms. Yasmin.
Is there another recognition?
We got one more.
Okay.
Okay, we just stand in the
Absolutely.
I talk loud.
Yes, ma'am.
We are delighted to be here tonight on behalf of the Board of Education's next door neighbor, and I'm not talking about Burger King. We are with Emmanuel Episcopal Church, and through a foundation that has donated us money over the years, the use of which we cannot use for operations at our church. And so several years ago, our board decided that we would invest the money and we would give away the interest every year. And so for the past 3 or 4 years, we've donated to the FRCs in Clark County. The first year, we just donated to the elementary schools. And then as we discussed, we knew that there was need at all the schools. And then this year it occurred to us that the preschool has an FRC. So we took this money, $6,000, and we've done a pro rata share based upon the total enrollment divided by the enrollment at each school. And so I've got individual checks tonight for FRC directors who are here. If you're not here, we'll mail them to you. But we're delighted, we're blessed to share a gift that has been given to us, and we believe in our children. They're our future, and we need to do all we can to support them.
Thank you all so much.
Do you want the FRC directors to come?
Yeah, they will, if they're here.
Can we get one with the FRC directors that are here?
Yeah. Okay. You hold that, Jay, back up there.
Mr. Colby, could we have this back?
So who we got? Dean is running. Who's it Strode? I know who does.
Thank you.
Sheer.
She's not here.
Yes.
Justice here, the principal's here.
Justice.
She's not here.
GRC.
Sheer.
Oh, you're Sheer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Albright. Campbell.
There we go.
Let's get the picture too. So I've got Baker. So I've got,
Justice.
did you say you were district?
Yeah, district contacts, I can deliver these for
And
sure.
GRC?
Justice.
What the, oh, you're.
GRC, district police.
You know, squeeze in as much as possible.
Thank you all very much.
Always love the recognitions. Nice job, Brian. Do we have any public comments? Can someone check back there to see if we have any public comments?
I think people just signed in.
People just, I
I
think.
think Jennifer, yes.
Oh, Mr. Dixon?
I'll be super brief. First, I'd like to thank you for your historic support for track and cross country. That's usually why I'm here, talking about that. About 5 years ago, though, in conversation with Mr. King, we decided to take over the bowling program, and we've been slowly building that up. In year one, it was 3 kids. Now we're right around 20 kids, and we're on your agenda. There is a request for an overnight trip, and we're modeling it after our cross-country trips that we've taken for 15 years. The kids say, "Dodd, why do we go to so many museums and presidential libraries and capitals and all that?" And I say, "Well, what's the name of our team?" And they say, "Well, cross-country." I said, "No, it's GRC. We're an educational institution." And so on our overnight trips, it's more about education than it is about competition. Obviously, we compete when we go places. The bowling team has never gone out of state, never gone on an overnight trip, and this is an attempt to do that. We may end up just making it a day trip where we go down and come back all on the same day and try to hit a national park. It just depends on how much we can fundraise. But we hope to grow it just like we've done the cross-country program and do a lot of things. One neat thing that I wanted to tell you about besides this trip, we have a girl that's going to be receiving a scholarship for bowling. She's one of the top 5 prospects in the state this year. It's going to be a $100,000 scholarship, $25,000 a year, and it's because of bowling. And if you all didn't have this little bowling team over the last few years, she wouldn't have got this scholarship. And so, on behalf of this young lady and on behalf of all the other kids that probably won't get a scholarship but are just doing this for kicks and giggles and keeps them out of trouble, I'd like to thank you for your support of the bowling team. And then on that trip, I don't know if there's any questions. I know it's kind of perfunctory approval, but if you have any questions about the trip and the goals and the expectations, I can answer anything. We hope to compete against a Sevierville team down there and maybe go to the national park. We're just kind of limited on funds, but we hope to grow it over
What is
time.
the cost of the trip?
We're trying to do it for about $3,500. I know that our cross-country trip this year, when we went to North Carolina, it cost about $14,000. And so, and that was a 3-day trip, and, we went to museums and did a whole bunch of different things. We're starting small, and we did the same thing with cross-country. The first year we went to a place in Tennessee. We took a school bus. We didn't take a charter bus. We just, we did it on the cheap. But the kids liked it, the parents liked it, and 15 years later, from a little old cheap trip, it's gone to a $14,000 extravaganza where the kids learn. We didn't do 3 museums in 3 states this year. We did that a couple of years ago. And good things come from that. I had one girl a few years back say that she learned answers on an AP history test that she didn't learn in the classroom, but she did learn on the overnight trip at some of the museums. And she ended up getting a scholarship to Center College. So, you know, we try to make it an educational experience. I try to make sure the kids know that first and foremost, we are an educational institution. But then we also hope to get better and compete and do well. So that's our goals and expectations. Hopefully we can pull it off this year. If not, next year we'll be better prepared and be able to pull it off.
How many kids do you have on your team?
Official roster is a little over 20. We have probably about 16, 17 that actually show up. The demographics of the bowling team are different than cross country. Just about every one of these kids has a job. And so it's hard to make it to practice and things of that nature. We practice 2 times a week, once in Mount Sterling, once in Richmond. And the kids are getting better.
Makes it tough to get over to different counties.
Yeah, it would be, I think, well, I know we would have a better team if we had a bowling alley here. But, you know, my first year we practiced 1 day a week. We've already practiced more this season than getting close to the last 2 seasons combined. So, you know, we hope to take a young group of kids and make them better in the future. And of course, I'm hoping that our top female will win individual state. She was regional winner her sophomore year. She was top 20 last year, but I think she's got real potential to make a run for state. So that's the goal. I mean, if it, you know, of course, only one person wins state. And so if she falls short, I'll still be proud of her. But good group of kids, and on behalf of the team and the parents, we thank you all for having a bowling team. There's some places that don't. We appreciate, you know, you all letting us have a team, providing transportation, all the things that you all do. We appreciate that. It means a lot to these kids, and what you all have invested is small in comparison to that scholarship this girl's going to get. And that's just, you know, a huge difference in that family. She had one set of prospects that changed when they offered the scholarship. So she wants to be an educator, and maybe someday she can be back here and she can be the bowling coach, because she's a heck of a lot better at it than I am. But
We'll promise her a job.
Yeah.
Right, HR director.
That's it. But anyway, that's the deal, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for your support for cross-country track and bowling and all the things that, the opportunities that you provide to these children, because, you know, worst case scenario, even if they don't get a scholarship, we've kept them from all the vices that are out there. And then the little propaganda that you saw, it has all the calories they burn and all the other things they get. I think actually they eat more calories at the snack bar than they actually burn, but we'll just go with the lie that they're burning calories and bowling.
Well, thank you for all your time and devotion and time you've spent over the years.
Oh, it's fun. Bowling's the easiest thing in the world. I walk from the bus to the bowling alley. I've never been rained on, never stood in an ice storm. You know, and the prospects of injury are about 0, so it's an easy gig.
Mr. Talby, could I request that we take this off the consent agenda and put it over here on student support services?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yes, I would like to add that over there and add that the board actually donate or make a payment on this so these kids can go to this trip.
Well, that's unexpected.
Since we've already adopted the agenda, just make sure we put this over, we can still put this over.
You can still pull it out of the consent
Okay.
agenda.
And it needs, does it need to be
I mean,
supermajority, which I don't think.
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. All right, if we don't have any objection, we'll go ahead and move that over to support services.
I didn't know there was a bowling team. I had no idea, so thank you for coming and speaking about it. So
We're low profile.
obviously, yeah. But thank you for your dedication.
Well,
to what
thank you.
do. So,
is that, I mean, is that?
I think it's great, yeah. I knew what you were up to.
I'm always up to something.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a funeral to get to.
Oh, goodness.
May I be excused? Thank you, appreciate it.
Do we have anyone else that wants to comment? Anyone signed up? Okay. Thank you. Okay, next up is Student Learning and Instructional Services, acknowledgement of the Kentucky Summative Assessment data and Clark County Public Schools Academic Vision. Kelly Fitz.
Good evening. I'm going to ask for some of my team to come and join me tonight so we can discuss our state assessment data, which is also known as the Kentucky Summative Assessment, or KSA is how we refer to it. And then we're also going to focus on our vision academically moving forwards. So while our assessment data is one data point that we do use, we're really focused on how we are moving forwards as a district. So I'm going to ask Dr. Lindsay Hale to come up and discuss more about our school report card. She is our district assessment coordinator, so she will walk us through what the school report card entails.
Hello. Sure.
Sorry.
Oh, you're all right. Hello, everyone. Are you my slider? Okay. Next, please. Okay. So, the school report card data, if you haven't seen it yet, it is online. It has been live since October 30th. And so we're just going to sort of briefly talk about the indicator scores and the colors that Clark County received. So on the first slide, you can see that our elementary school, which of course is all 4 of our elementaries, our middle schools, which are actually RDC and Baker, and then of course our high school, which actually is GRC and Phoenix together. So we sort of see the dials here, right? So each of our schools, elementary and middle, scored a yellow, and without getting too deep in the weeds, clearly that is middle of the road. Our high school was orange, and this is our overall rating. Next. Okay, so reading and math. We call this a bucket, and so reading and math are combined in a bucket for an overall score. And what's new this year is the change. So the first line you see the colors labeled status from red to blue, and then we take into account change. So again, without getting too far into it, we have a status score based on how many novice, apprentice, proficient, and distinguished scores we have in the reading and math bucket, combined with how much we changed from last year to this year, multiplied by a weight, so on and so on, and we've come to our indicator colors. So our elementary schools overall together as a group scored in the yellow, and their change was also yellow, which ultimately means that they maintained from last year to this year. There was no major decrease or increase. Our middle schools increased this year. They actually scored, their raw score was a medium, but because their increase was enough to push them into the green. And then our high schools, again, scored medium, as you saw on the last slide. We had a slight decline, and so that brought us down to the orange. Yes. We've got lots of questions, I'm sure, yes.
My question, since Baker, I know the 5th and 6th grade, are they split or are they in one spot?
They are classified as middle school.
Middle
So
school, okay.
I actually didn't know this until I
started working in this role, that Baker is the only 5th and 6th grade school in the state. And so we're a unique situation, and so they have granted us middle school status because the standards more closely align with middle school than they do with elementary, and so they are middle school.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yeah, so are these, so let's just take the middle school section. The status is medium, change is increased. Increased from what and medium from what? Last year's scores?
Yes. So there are 3 different metrics. And so there's a status score, an indicator score, and then a status color. And lots of calculations go into play. For example, you can grow in your status score and still go down a color if you don't grow enough. So it is very...
Your score growing up, is that what you're
Yes,
referring
that's
to?
correct. So you have to grow, again, we're getting a little in the weeds, but you have to grow by at least half of what you grew the year before in order to just maintain your score. So even if you grow, you could have a lesser color. So that's what, these are a little sort of vague, I would say, because they take so much calculations into consideration. For example, the reading and math each have different weights. So for elementary school, it's a 51% weight versus science, social studies, writing is 40. So your status score is you add in the change, negative or positive, you multiply it by that weight, add it all together, and you get your indicator score.
So our scores are based upon our scores from last year, not scores that's...
They take last year's into consideration, the
Okay.
change.
The change.
Yes, it's
And that's
brand new this year.
That's new this year. We
Okay.
didn't have the change component last year.
Okay.
That's
It was
correct.
just the status, and then this year we have both of them combined.
That's correct.
Thank you.
It's a little hairy.
Well, I mean, they basically take a calculus equation and they put it in a kindergarten chart,
Yes.
right? I mean,
Correct.
that's essentially,
Yes.
is what they do,
Yes.
so it is very complicated.
But all of this is based upon our scores or based upon, and compared to our scores from last year, it doesn't have anything to do with the state scores or, averages of the other counties in the state.
No, the only time that comes into consideration is when you're talking about classifications. So like if for TSI or CSI, for targeted improvement, that's when you take other counties into consideration. You have to be above the bottom 5%. We actually had 3 schools come out of TSI.
So 3 schools total were in TSI
Yes,
last
and 2
year.
came out in 3 out of the 4 categories. So we made a lot of gains this year. Again, so like in the middle school and the high school, you can see they both increased. And so moving in the right direction and, continuing to put supports into place to do that.
And this slide currently that she's showing is the
Oh,
science,
yes.
social studies, and combined writing buckets. So they do
Yes.
separate and have the different buckets. And then, of course, they do divide them even further so that we can just look at our reading scores. We can just look at our math scores. But they do give us these combined status scores for these specific buckets, as they call them.
Right. Quality of School Climate and Safety Survey. This is the survey that students take before they actually get into the test about how safe do they feel at school, do they feel they have an adult in the building that cares for them. You can see that we all did really well on that. I think we're very, all the principals are very proud of that. So our elementary and middle school categories each scored high and either maintained or increased, and our high schools increased into the green from yellow. Graduation rate, again, we have a high graduation rate. We maintained that from last year, so we continue to be in the green. and our high school post-secondary readiness. So this is either academic ready or career ready, and there are a myriad of different ways to either be academic or career ready. At any rate, we scored medium, but we had an increase, so that pushed us into the green for this year.
All right, so there are many takeaways that we can provide or that we obtain from looking at this data. So here are just 4 takeaways that we want to focus on tonight. So last year, we had 3 schools that were identified for TSI. 2 of those were removed from that status, so we still have 1 school for targeted support and interventions. Looking district-wide, we have an overall increase in our writing proficiency, so that's something that we're still continuing. We want to see a greater growth in that area. We have writing plans in place, which we'll talk about in a few moments, but we're still focused on that area, even though we did see gains. This year, our universal screener is iReady, and we've talked about that prior, but that is a diagnostic that we're taking 3 times throughout the year, so it's a way for us to monitor growth throughout the school year. We've taken one in August, and we looked at that data prior, and then also we are getting ready to take the second iReady diagnostic starting in December. So in January, we will look at that data, and we should be seeing improvements across the board. But it's just one way for us to gauge how are we doing throughout the school year. And then finally, number 4, our goal is to make gains across the district in every single area. But what I do want to point out is that this is a multi-year process. We have put things into place, and we'll talk about what those systems and structures are. But we hope to see growth along the way, but it's not going to be something that we see substantial growth in 1 year. It's a multi-year process, so I want to make sure that we're looking at our systems that we have in place, looking at the growth that we hope to see throughout the course of this year, that we hope to see. I would love to see greater growth, but even if it's just small growth along the way, and then hopefully over a 5-year plan that we will eventually get to where we want to be, which is proficiency. So we'll go ahead to the next slide so we can see how we're putting this data analysis into action. And this is where we're looking at our academic vision, and we are focused on these 5 foundations. And at the beginning of the year, we briefly talked about these, but I want to make sure that we're all on the same page on what we are doing to really drive the academic instruction across the board. So we're focused on those specific 5 foundations. The first one that we're going to look at is that continuous development. At the beginning of the school year, we put a lot of things into place to provide professional development for our teachers, specifically with regards to engagement. All of our teachers had Kagan training at the beginning of the school year, 2 days of that, and they are continuing to still get the Kagan training on some of our school work days, our teacher work days. So that is ongoing throughout the school year. Also, with regards to continuous and development with our elementary schools, we are providing phonics instruction, which Jordan will talk about in just a few minutes. So we're really putting systems into place. We knew what some of our deficits were before we received our test scores, just based on some of our diagnostics and test scores that we already had. So we knew what those areas were needed for growth. We've put systems into place, and we're providing training for teachers. So that's part of our continuous and development. I'm going to turn it over to Jordan, and she's going to talk a few minutes about our Congruence Foundation. Go ahead.
Next one. Good. Yeah, sorry. No, back to. Okay, so in education, congruence can look a little different depending on what you're talking about. So you can have congruence from class to class. You can have congruence of instruction to assessment. You can have congruence from instruction to the learning targets, and then congruence from learning targets to the standards. So really, we are focusing on those reading and math standards maps. So across grade levels, K through 12, standards maps have been developed to ensure that we are providing instruction that is congruent to the standards. Within those standards maps, we have learning targets, which is the target that's posted on the board to ensure that students know what they're learning for the day. Because if they don't know, at the end of the day, then we're not being purposeful with our instruction.
And then there are assessments in place to track mastery. And then we're also making sure that we have resources that are linked to those maps to ensure that the resources that are being used are standards-based, rather than just opening a book and turning to a page and just relying on those programs to teach the standards. We're really drilling hard to make sure our teachers are knowledgeable of the standards moving forward. And then common assessments, those are being developed by teachers and the instructional specialists as a team to make sure that our assessments are also congruent. The next item is literacy focus. As you all know, when we presented in May, we explained that all teachers K through 4 would be trained to IMSE Orton Gillingham. And that's just not a program, that's a program that really trains teachers. So we're not just saying, here's a book to teach phonics. We're really making sure teachers understand all of the phonics they're supposed to teach. It follows a specific structure and it's sequential to make sure that we're teaching in an order that teachers can follow. So that way if students are moving from school to school, it's just they pick up right where they left off. They're not skipping a beat there. And another thing is it's multisensory. So we're making sure we're not just drilling phonics and teaching them how to read. We're being really intentional with how we teach it in different ways to make sure we're meeting all students and that all learners are learning to read. So we're really focusing on the foundations of reading while also realizing there are 5 components of reading, and that foundation piece has really been left out recently, and not just in Clark County, across the board. So we're really trying to hone in on a foundational focus to hopefully spread across the other components of literacy. So K through 4 teachers have been trained along with 2 from Baker, 2 from RDC, and 2 from GRC. So we're really, really focused on to see growth in that area. And then the district writing plan, the writing plan was developed last year. And what that is just to make sure that the progression of the standards is present there, and that we're making sure that grade levels know specifically, what they're supposed to teach so that students are ready to move to the next grade level. Can I ask a question? Are you seeing teachers buy into the phonics piece? Because that is a wonderful way to, that's how I learned. So I'm glad, I love it that we're doing phonics. We've heard tremendous feedback across the board, and teachers are already seeing growth, which is really encouraging. But as Ms. Fitland said, this is something that will take a few years to see, because you got to think we're starting in kindergarten now, and it's exciting to see those kiddos in kindergarten right now. Let's think 3 to 5 years from now.
Right. We've heard nothing but positives from teachers about the training and how it's really making a difference in their classroom with their students.
And the children who were in kindergarten, first grade during COVID, are they being taught this too? Do you think it'll help them catch up? Or
We are providing extra support. So while this was an initiative K through 4, we have trained teachers at Baker, RDC, and at GRC to provide the support for students who are still showing deficits with regards to literacy. So while every teacher isn't trained beyond elementary school, we do have those supports in place to help, yes.
Yeah, I was just thinking those kids that they missed out a lot, with sight words, that sort of thing. And I guess they'd be in 2nd and 3rd, 4th grade now is the group I'm thinking of. So I'm really glad that we're putting this in the elementary schools. Yes, that training is actually recommended for K through 2 teachers. And, as a district, we made the decision to train all K through 4 to fill those deficits. Yeah. Thank you.
The next foundation is student engagement, and everything that Jordan talked about, putting learning targets on the board, making sure our teachers know the standards, they don't really matter unless our students are engaged in the learning. So we as a district are implementing Kagan district-wide, and we really feel like that's a game changer in terms of allowing students to really play an active role in their learning. Kagan is all about positive interdependence, individual accountability, equal participation, and simultaneous interaction. And so allowing our teachers to implement many of those structures in their lessons allows for our students to really be engaged in their learning and play an active role in what they're learning every day. So as Ms. Fithen said earlier, our teachers have been trained in 3 days of Kagan, and they have 2 left for second semester.
And then we are also embedding Kagan coaching throughout the district. So we have someone that comes in and is providing support to our teachers and to our district team and administrators so that we have embedded coaching systems in place so that we can provide support to teachers along the way as well.
When are those next 2 days scheduled?
The next 2 work days, which would be January 2nd and March 6th.
Okay.
Yes. So at any time, if you all would like to stop by one of the schools, just to see some of the training in action, it would be awesome.
Before Ms. Fifth and her team are gonna be doing Kagan coaching classroom visits, the 5th and 6th.
December 5th and 6th, yes.
Next week, so.
Every month, we have coaching visits where we come in and a specified time where we get to make sure that that we are watching the coaching or the Kagan structures in action, and then we're providing coaching to those teachers. So it's a really great process to be able to go through and provide that support to our teachers.
I want to take this time to introduce, I have an EC instructional specialist. Her name is Elizabeth Vallejo, so I want to introduce her. But we added that position and kind of moved some things around this year to provide more direct instruction. I know everybody loves and really, she works with the instructional specialist across the district, providing so much more support than just working with our EC teachers. She has a lot of background, not just in EC, so I just wanted to give props because she's doing a lot of the stuff. But what we're trying to do, what we're doing as a district with differentiation is not just focusing on EC, but looking at incorporating our EL students, our gifted and talented students. So when I'll be meeting with principals come December and January to already be talking about next year's schedules. So how is our master schedule really focusing on all of our students with unique learning? So whether they be students who have learning disabilities or students who are in our GT program, we want to make sure that we're providing the building administrators with the much support doing schedules and making sure that we're providing them the support to go along with our station teaching, which has been a district initiative within co-teaching. So when you sometimes think of co-teaching or station teaching, you automatically think of special education or EC, but really within that station teaching, it's also giving our those small groups the opportunity to then enhance and enrich those students who need GT or focus on some of our students in our EL population who may have other deficits that aren't related to EC. And then working with especially designed instruction. So basically that is what an EC teacher does differently than compared to a general education teacher. So we have worked with CKEC, Ms. Vallejo again with her background and my background, and then all the team that we have here. We have a few principals who have EC backgrounds, so that's also been good to go and meet with them. But we also will continue on with our monthly meetings. I think Ms. Fifth and May tried to join me to meet with principals and their admin team each month just to make sure that we're supporting all of these components of what we want for high quality instruction.
And our last foundation is the monitoring piece. So along the way, we need to make sure we're monitoring not only students, but also our instruction. Through our MTSS plan, which we've also brought to you, Allison Nelson brought that to you in a prior board meeting. But that is how we're using a system to monitor growth with our students and provide additional support. And then also we're using our district walkthrough tool to also monitor our instruction across the district. So that is something new that we've put into place, that every teacher is getting a minimum of 2 walkthroughs every single month by administrators or district teams. And then every single month with administrators, we're analyzing that data. We're administering the walkthroughs, we're analyzing the data, and then we're acting based upon the data, whatever it entails, for us to then move forwards. And then on the last slide, I want to bring attention to just making sure that we're all on the same page about being intentional with our work. We're really trying to be focused and be intentional with our academic foundations, because if we want to experience significant progress towards our goals here in our district, we have to be intentional about the work we're doing every day. And that's exactly what our academic team is doing. So we look forward to showcasing all the great growth that we see in our students in the months and years to come. So thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is student support services. Consider approval of second calendar reading for the 24-25 and 25-26 year. Ms. Christie Bush.
We want to have our second reading for our 2024-25 calendar that you had previously last month adopted as reading one, and then the 25-26 school year that you have adopted as reading one to move forward for our years to come.
Do you have any comments or questions on the calendars?
First reading.
I make a motion to, we're making a motion to approve the calendar?
Yes.
I make a motion to approve calendar reading for 24-25 and 25-26.
I have a motion by Ms. Hall.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Dorsey. All in favor?
Aye.
Pass 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is to consider approval of MOA for the Stronger Connections Grant.
So I'm here this evening just to have an acknowledgement of the MOA. KDE had offered a Stronger Connection Grant for districts. 27 districts received this award. And with our DPP department and extra hard work from Miss Rebecca Smith, Cassie Puckett, Bryce Gomes, and McKenna Jackson, we were one of the 27. Are you ready? $600,000. Wow, we are so happy to receive that.
That's a plan.
200,000 will go to GRC and RDC for their program to help initiate the BAR program. That's a new initiative this year. And the other 400,000-ish will go to increase our SEL program. With that is the SASs and the at-risk mentors to break down any barriers that students have.
That's just incredible. Do you need an acknowledgement or a motion?
I think it's just an acknowledgement and a signature from both of you.
Ms. McCoy?
Since, I think it wouldn't hurt to authorize.
Just
the
looks like
MOA.
it's a
MOA.
Yeah. I think we just go ahead and make a motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the agenda.
Yeah.
That would be my recommendation.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to approve the MOA for Stronger Connection Grant.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ritchie. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's awesome news. Next is consider discussion and possible action of adjustment renovation to previous Clark County ATC building with Mr. Brandon Watkins.
All right, so back in the early spring, you guys may remember the LPC, the local planning committee, met and had a finding. Basically, since we're going to renovate the old ATC for the Phoenix program instead of build a new one, we began that renovation phase back over the summer, got the Phoenix Academy moved into there, and they have 5 classrooms now. So we're kind of biting this off in pieces, so to speak, and ready to move forward with the next kind of phase of renovating this building to continue to be able to add additional supports for the Phoenix program and be able to add some career pathways that we had discussed back in the spring there at the old ATC building. So this is kind of the first drawing, so to speak, from Ross Durant, and to where we would renovate the additional bays. Again, part of that for Phoenix Academy, expanding the restrooms, expanding areas for their student supports, their guidance counselors, and then the third phase would be to update those last 2 bays for the career pathway space. So what I'm asking the board for is number one, any questions, and that we would that you all would be okay with us moving forward, working with Ross Durant to finalize drawings and begin to bid this project out. Obviously, we would come back with those when we're ready to do so.
Where do they eat lunch? Do they eat lunch in this building or do they go up to RDC?
They're going up to RDC right now.
Is that working okay? Are we having any issues? Do they eat at the same time as the middle school students or
No, they go prior to the middle school
prior to?
students.
Okay, I was just wondering.
What are we gonna do on those days that weather doesn't permit them to go up to eat lunch?
They've got a plan for that. In the old building, they had kitchen equipment that they used to bring down hot lunches, breakfast, things like that. Just not deep fryers and actual cooking equipment. With the second phase, we would put back in that ability to have warmers, have, refrigerators, things like that. Right, but we've got a couple of vehicles that, and we've got a bus that if it was, terribly inclement weather, we would transport, the kids up there and they wouldn't have to walk. Even, it is a short distance, but if it's raining cats and dogs,
Right.
that's,
Yeah.
that's no fun.
Right.
Mr. Key, did you have anything to add on that piece?
I think, no, just what he put there at the end, we also have the bus there that we can transport.
Okay.
So when you add are these extra class, I know I looked at it, but it's been a couple of days since I looked at it. So it's adding capacity for students? Is that what this is doing?
It would most definitely be adding capacity for students right now. It would be adding some office space for guidance counselors, adding a STEM area, expanding bathroom capacity, which is, something that's needed. All new mechanical, plumbing, electrical, components in the building. The HVAC system needs updating. So it's a great space right now that they're being able to utilize, but the second phase just adds to those supports.
I think Mr. Watkins has sent an email out, and if you guys want to join him on the tour, again, we're going to walk you guys through that, and that way you can actually see the space and kind of give some input on your all's thoughts. I mean, we're talking about pathways, but we're not set on which ones, or as far as programming, working with Ms. Fitton, Mr. Keene with the innovation part of it. So we're excited. We just want you guys to have a little more input when you get down there.
I know that it's limited for community partners, and so would this help that in any way for community
Absolutely.
partners? Because I think that they rely on, especially mental health services coming in. And
Yes. One of those spaces there in the back is a larger space for a group room.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so there would definitely be space for that.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So we don't have any intention of ever putting a cafeteria or anything in here?
No, I don't think we plan to put a space to eat, but I don't think to build out a full kitchen would be feasible.
And then hire a whole new staff associated
Well,
with that.
didn't it have a staff at the other place?
No.
No. RDC,
They've always used RDC?
they've always, RDC has supported them, yes.
when this talk of, or the part about the elementary room, is that like a future thought of doing programming for elementary students, or is that a different meaning? The Phoenix Elementary Room?
Do you want to add anything to that?
We are looking at providing supports for our elementary students. Currently, Phoenix just works with students grades 6 through 12, but we are finding a need for additional supports for our elementary students. So we are exploring different alternatives to be able to provide support for students. Originally, we worked a plan to have a room available in this building, but we're also exploring some other options. We'll be meeting with elementary administrators this week to discuss what that may look like, and then also meeting with some outside agencies that can also come in to provide support. So we're really focused on making sure our support systems are in place for all students,
right,
and not just a targeted alternative program for grades 6 through 12.
Oh, I hope you all put an elementary in this building. It has been needed for so long.
And that's the way it's currently designed with one of these. We're just exploring not
Right.
just that, but really trying to expand the continuum.
Well, I know,
Services.
because we've had the extra rooms in the buildings,
We have.
and it didn't plan out like we hoped.
We had a meeting today, my days are running together. Today, actually, to work on a tentative plan, and then Thursday, we're working with elementary administrators, and then we'll continue to move forwards. And once we have more of a solidified plan, we'll bring that back to you all. We're just trying to work out what that looks like, and then we'll bring that back to you all to discuss further.
How excited were they to see that you all were looking at putting this in
I
here?
think they're very excited to be able to provide supports for students. Yes.
Thank you. This looks great, Mr. Watkins.
Thank you. It's not a final draft by no means, but it is a starting point. And again, I guess I'm asking for a motion to authorize us to work with Ross Durant to finalize this and move forward with this second phase.
Okay.
I mean,
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Ms. Hall,
Second.
second by Mr. Bennett. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you. Thank you. Next up is acknowledgement of the 2024 needs assessment. Ms. Ellis.
Evening. So you should have had in your packet kind of a version of, this is actually like a Google document we've shared with the district and the principals. And part of our budgeting procedural needs assessment process is that you all should be presented with a needs assessment as of December 1st. So we have done this 2 years in a row now, but I don't think we ever officially have presented it to you. But this is what goes into kind of building the budget, thought process wise, other than just the straight allocation, which is pretty based on calculations. These are the departments saying, hey, these are initiatives or things that we would like to try to get into the budget if there is available funding for it. Obviously, we know there's one pot of money and we have to think about all the priorities. So there is another document that we've actually done with our principals that we're gonna look at as an administrative team this week, like prioritizing things that they want in the budget to help us build that budget that you'll see in January for our draft budget for next school year. Any questions on anything?
There's two attachments.
Yeah, so I think the first, I only got one of my tabs uploaded. There's a district, I send it out separately, like just schools with principals, and then
Okay.
one for departments for
That
the
makes
districts,
sense.
for the different departments.
Sorry.
Kind of gets to be a large document doing everybody together. But principals kind of, like to look at each other's ideas and for their buildings and different things and compare that with one another, and same thing with departments and that type of stuff. So we use the two different pieces.
No questions, it's just an acknowledgement. Thank you. Next up is we moved from the consent items was consider approval of GRC's bowling team to compete in bowling competition in Knoxville, Tennessee, tour, Knoxville, Tennessee, tour of the national park on December 15th, 16th, 2023. Ms. Ritchie asked that be moved, so I'll turn that over to her.
I think that we need to either make a one-time donation to them. We've supplied money to, I don't know if we've ever hit every sport yet or not, but I know that we've supplied a lot to most sports and most teams on here. And I think that we need to at least cover the cost of this team, but I would like to see us just go on and make a $5,000 donation to this bowling team to help him out and they don't even have a place to bowl here in town. They're having to leave town. So they're obviously dedicated.
I'm sympathetic to it, and just, we open that can of worms of starting to donate money in the middle of the year to groups. We're gonna.
Well, I know
multiple
that
groups
there's
coming in.
there's cross country, which was him. There's archery. There's only a select few that I don't know that's ever come in front of the board and asked for.
It's true.
And I would be willing to hear them out and give them money, honestly, because, if it's for kids, it's for kids.
I'm sympathetic. I'd like to do that. I'd like to hear from other board members, see what they think as well. And, and also get your opinion. Ms. Riley.
Like I didn't realize we had a bowling team. You know, my son's at GRC, never heard of it before. And it's, you know, for this particular one, it's for one night. But Mr. Dixon's trying to make it into a learning opportunity for them. I'm wondering on this team, you know, we have this one young lady, it sounds like she stands out. Is this, do they ever get to go on a trip? And, you know, and it is, that is a lot of money having to travel to Mount Sterling and Richmond once a week for practice, since we don't have a bowling.
You said they'd never been out of town.
Well, I mean, to practice.
Yeah, right.
To practice, their
Yeah.
parents are taking on the cost of transportation and that sort of thing.
I think it's well worth the plug, you know, especially even if it expands interest and gets more interested, you know. I don't see any negatives to it.
Ms. Ellis, when it comes to sports and at GRC, do we allocate money towards like basketball, football, things like that?
We don't allocate in the sense of giving each team money. We have like a student activity budget here at the district level for those who exceed to kind of the national level, and we pay, once they reach that level, we pay for that level of competition and going overnight and that kind of stuff. But just their daily games and all that, it's what they generate and do themselves, and then what the athletics budget can help assist with the rotation schedule.
Well-established sports usually can support themselves,
Yeah,
whereas stuff like this. doesn't.
Usually, and I won't put you on the spot, but usually the high schools provide so much money to each sport. You know, I don't know if you can recollect if you've allocated any for the bowling team.
Not to my recollection.
Usually bowling and archery and all them, they end up fending for themselves.
Yeah, they fundraise for themselves
And
typically,
that-
that's what I'm
and
saying.
that-
The well-established sports typically get the pick of what they wanna do, because
Yes.
they are well-established and they don't, you know, they don't need a shot in the arm every now and again to kinda help them get where they need to go, or draw more attention, or.
Well, I mean, a few years ago,
Get the equipment that they need, you know.
We provided quite a bit of funding for the football team, just to get new equipment and things of that nature
Yeah.
too. And
So still
Yeah.
well-established, you
Yeah.
know. So, bowling, if we can help them along, I think it'd be a great opportunity, you know, to gauge more interest, draw more interest, you know, show off what we want, you know. It's a positive thing, you know, if we can get more students involved in extracurriculars and stuff like that, then.
Yeah, I know
Great.
with archery, I mean, as far as they travel, parents are responsible for taking them, they do not get a bus.
it sounded like they were taking a bus to Tennessee, one of our school buses.
Correct.
Do
That's
they-
my understanding.
Do we pay for that, or do they pay for that too?
Typically they would, we pay through the,
Local
district
matches, we district usually pays for, like basketball games, if they go play Powell County, you know, we usually pay for buses and officials, everything on top of that, the teams usually raise, or the school helps out with. So for bowling, like if they have a local match and take a bus, but to Tennessee, you know, when teams do out-of-state trips and things like that, they usually fundraise and pay for them.
do we know if they have a booster club that's active, they have a booster club agreement?
They just, that should be on the meeting tonight in the booster group. We've got to turn it in, not it'll be on next month. They just turned that into us.
So they're just really kind of getting started.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens most of the time, is you already have a well-established booster club, and they raise the monies, and then, but if it's brand new, then we haven't even approved the booster club, it's hard for them to raise money.
Yeah, I agree with Ms. Ritchie, let's give them a shot in arm. So, you'll make that motion?
Yeah. I make a motion that we, Alicia, how do I need to word that as far as it can't be donation, right? It's gotta be,
I mean, it can be that the board chooses to support the bowling team in the amount of
okay.
whatever amount you all are
We
choosing.
just can't make a donation to a booster club.
No,
Right,
so it's not
okay.
gonna go to
No.
the booster. Basically, I will transfer it from your board account where you've got some like excess money to do stuff like you're doing now to the activity account of bowling at GRC.
Okay. I make a motion for the board to support the bowling team at GRC in the amount of $5,000.
Can we just add to that, for them to attend the
Yeah.
bowling competition in Knoxville, Tennessee on December 15th, 6th through 16th?
Yeah, I just didn't wanna tie the whole 5,000, because he said he really only needed 3,500 for that, so
Yeah.
I thought if he had any extra, he can just use it to get going with his bowling team. If he didn't need the full 5,000 for that trip.
Oh, yeah, we've
So,
gotta,
yeah.
we've gotta approve the trip too, so do we wanna leave the trip on the consent items and then just approve the 5,000 under the student service?
How do you think? But that was the only reason I
Yeah.
didn't add the trip
Okay,
with the money is
so
because.
we'll strike the trip and leave that on consent items,
Okay,
and then you've got the motion to support the bowling team in the amount of $5,000.
yeah, okay,
And I'll second that.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Yep, nice job. Okay. Next is Finance and Human Resource Update, acknowledgement of the monthly Clark County Public Schools financial update. Ms. Ellis.
Okay, so, as far as October goes, we are really kind of at the same spot we were a year ago, but fantastic news, we already have received in November, which you'll see next month in the reports, our sheriff collections for our property taxes, which puts us at like 75% collection already. We got our first really big tax collection, which was really nice. It was like almost $14 million, so it's a nice little chunk of money.
So big shout out to the.
Sheriff's on the-
Huge
Sheriff's
shout
on the ball.
out to the sheriff,
Sheriff's on the ball.
yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's really good, right at our first check of the collection. So I think last year was 11 million, so I mean, that's more than last year at this time, so that's fantastic. Our motor vehicle with the November check puts us at 28% collection, which is really kind of the same where we've been with stuff. So we are looking good on our revenue collections. And our expenditures are at the same point, 19% at this point, so. Any questions on anything?
Didn't see anything crazy or anything that needs, that you need to bring up to our attention. Okay, awesome. All right. Next is authorized payment of salaries and accounts payable. We need
I make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second that.
a motion by Ms. Hall, second by Mr. Dorsey. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Next up is consider approval of the second reading of policies 03.1231, 03.2231, personal leave 03.1232, 03.2232, sick leave 03.1236, 03.2236, emergency leave 03.123, leaves and absences.
What did you say?
Yeah, let's repeat that. Dr. Perry.
So this is the second reading. Basically, all of these leave policies we're just updating to hourly accruals. So, simple and sweet.
Yeah, we discussed that last time.
I make a motion to approve all of that y'all read.
All the dots.
Yeah.
Motion by Ms. Ritchie,
Second.
second by Mr. Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you. Next up is the superintendent report.
So each month, we've been highlighting one of the superintendent standards. Tonight, we're going to kind of touch on standard 4, which is human resources. I think you should have a handout that kind of highlights some things that we've been doing under Dr. Ferris's leadership and your all's intentional focus on recruitment retention. We've changed numerous policies over the past few years. We're trying to become more employee-friendly and focused on healthy work-life balance. We've done things like increase the number of sick days, personal days. We've edited language restricting emergency days so that if folks have an emergency, they don't have to explain what that emergency is to people like me sitting in the chair. So I think simple things like that we're hoping people appreciate. Again, we've done numerous things. We're trying to also diversify. We're going to our first virtual recruitment fair on December the 2nd. HR is also participating in several job fairs across central Kentucky. We were actually in Education Week, highlighting, as in a national publication, our use of PD that was virtual to make it more convenient for staff, but also monitoring it to make sure it's high quality. It's a great article. I'll get you guys a copy of it. We've also, as far as staff, kind of give you an update, we've got 1,081 active staff, 1,081, kind of a big district. 434 certified staff. 67% of our teachers are either rank 1 or rank 2, which means we have a highly qualified teaching staff. 2%, I think it's going to jump significantly, is what I've been told. Our staff have doctorate degrees. We've recently hired 2 more, and I think 3 more working, 3 more, 5, right, working on it. We have 11 speech pathologists who are nationally board certified, 9 teachers across the district who are nationally board certified, 1 school psychologist, 3 occupational therapists, national board certified. And we're also working on helping folks improve not only their plight, but their education by paying for a lot of it through initiatives, a lot of it funded through ESSER. We've got 50 staff enrolled in a Bloom Board rank change. So we might not be able to give them a 10% pay raise, but we can help them pay for their education so they can work up our pay scales more easily. 30 teachers are enrolled. We just signed a new MOA with EKU. So we're gonna pay for them to get their ESL endorsement. Something we've realized by reflecting on our score report card is we need a lot more support with our English language learners, which means we've got to also invest in our folks so that they are dual certified in teaching math, science, reading, social studies, and also having the endorsement of ESL. So we're super ecstatic about that initiative. And then we're even trying to break down barriers of our classified staff. So we've got 3 instructional assistants that are working on an Option 9 program to get their teacher certification. So not only moving up the pay scales as far as certified or classified, but jumping from a classified to a certified, so you can get better benefits and better pay. Again, on the back, is a lot of specific retention strategies that we'll highlight. I know Dr. Ferris is looking forward to spreading the word and shouting for the rooftops, some of the things we're doing for our teachers, and we'll get those out and highlighted in the board report. Ms. Crosby's super excited about that. The same may be 19 pages long with all those over in the back. I'll just be honest with you. But again, we want to take care of our teachers and our staff because the most important thing we can do is hire extremely highly qualified folks and put them in the classrooms with our kids. Programs can't do that. Fortunately, sorry guys, board can't do that. I can't do that. We've got to have the best educators working with our kids every single day. And Ms. Fithen's right. The work is not one time a year. The work goes in from the time we get them on the bus to the time we get them home and everything in between. And every day matters. And we're really trying to focus on those little details, but it starts with supporting our teachers and having the best. So we'll continue to try to recruit and retain the ones we have. Go Cards.
I would just add to that, and I think as a team, HR and everyone has done just an awesome job on a lot of these changes and retention policies over last year, really it's been over the last year. And to add to what you said, Mr. Allen, was consistency to me is as big as hiring great teachers. We gotta be consistent and keep them here, not just hire them and they leave. But I mean, last thing I think as a student, what we want is we hire a great teacher and then they only here a year. And if the long term goes, I think consistency can keep them here and keep momentum going. And I think we've done an awesome job on recruitment. I was just looking at here, and one of the things that popped out was our first Clark County Public Schools hiring for an exceptional children's teacher from Africa on a work visa. That's pretty cool. I mean, that's great. I mean, and first ever. So, I know I appreciate it. I know the board appreciates it. Everything that you all are doing.
Well, and again, and you guys are doing, we're partners in this thing. We can't make anything work without you guys considering it and putting things in place and building budgets around it. And you know, it continues to be a pleasure to work with you guys.
I did want to ask, have you seen a difference of like, I know it's just been a year, but did we normally have some turnover at the mid-year point, you know, years, like, okay, teachers got another job, they're going somewhere else?
I didn't want to jinx us and put that on there.
I
But
mean,
we actually had that conversation. We're 60 less employee turnover right now than we were this time last year. So
Oh, wow.
knock on some wood and applaud to yourselves because a lot of the things we're doing is because of you all. So.
Wow, I stepped right into that, didn't I?
Heated up.
And I wasn't prepped for that either.
No,
so-
no, you were not.
I was not, so that's awesome, that's really awesome. Cool. Okay, thank you, Mr. Howard.
Yes, sir.
Next up is consent agenda items, consent agenda items. And just a reminder to the board, we are leaving the bowling team competition on, for them to travel to Tennessee on this as well. Do we have any other questions, comments?
I want to thank Ms. Smith and her team for such a great presentation to make someone who didn't really understand, you know, it's very understandable, and for that to be on our website for parents, it's easy to read and understand. So thank you. Thank you.
Awesome job.
And I also want to thank GRC, whoever sent my son's scores. I don't know who sent it to me, but I appreciate that. That's the first time I had ever gotten it in the mail. So I didn't know what it was at first, and then didn't realize what it was. So there, and I'm hearing also just lots of great communication, like from, since Mr. Kincaid's sitting in the room, like heard lots of great things about good communication from a parent, which is, I think, very important for you to hear that, because they're very pleased, like they were glowing when they were talking about your communication. So thank you for what you're doing for you have probably one of the harder populations to work with, and so to know a parent is thrilled with your communication, that made me smile when I heard that. So
Yeah, I've also been hearing a lot of good positive feedback from RDC and GRC. As far as the bullying situation, it seems like you all are really starting to get it under control. I don't wanna.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Lots of jinxes tonight. Coming off a full moon.
I'm gonna sleep with my phone tonight.
Yeah.
Wait on the call.
So I do thank you all though, whatever you all are doing, so appreciate it. But yeah, you all are getting a lot of compliments right now.
And a compliment means so much to us when we hear it, because people don't go out of their way most of the time to give a compliment, you know, so when someone does give a compliment, it's probably tenfold of what you're all doing to someone that has a complaint. You know, you're going to hear complaints, and it could be just one individual, but compliments are hard to get, so when we get them, we'll pass them along.
absolutely.
All right, do we have a motion for the consent agenda items?
I make a motion to approve the consent items.
A motion by Ms. Hall,
Second.
second by Ms. Ritchie, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Ms. Ritchie,
Second.
second by Mr. Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. We are adjourned at 7:59.